Alright, everyone. So, just the other day, about 2 days ago, Survivor Series wrapped up, and we're just gonna kind of go through what happened. I'm gonna give you my opinions on each match and the future of where this is gonna go towards in terms of WWE storytelling. And also, we're gonna talk about Ricky Starks and Ray Fenix and the whole deal of AEW. We'll save that for last. So we're gonna start off with Survivor Series, just get that out of the way. I'll also rank these matches from what I think was the worst match to the best one. So let's just get this out of the way and let's talk about the first match of the night. Rhea Ripley versus not Team Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Bailey, and Io Sky versus Team Morgan, which was Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Raquel Rodriguez, and Candice LeRae. And this one, it wasn't bad. It might have been the worst women's WarGames match, in all honesty. Like, I'm trying to think back to it, and I think it might be the worst one. It was very slow in the beginning, which all WarGames matches can tend to be, depending on who's starting out. Like, I like the little exchange they had during the men's WarGames match yesterday. Oh, not yesterday. Like last year between Seth and Finn. That was fun. But this one, it really didn't feel like it got into high gear until Io Sky came out. And even then, it kind of slowed down in a lot of places. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It had some pretty cool moments, such as Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton jumping off the cage. But other than that, I can't really think of much in terms of like big spots, like really cool moments. I think this match really highlighted a big problem within the women's division right now, which is that it's all kind of too focused on Rhea Ripley, and I feel like they're not really building up a lot of other people outside of that. Like, again, the match really didn't feel like it got going until Rhea Ripley stepped in, and I feel like they had a good chance, like a good opportunity to kind of, I don't know, to like change up the scenery a bit with this match. Like, personally, I think they should have had Io Sky win the match, like get the pin on Liv, since she is the number one contender. And if it wasn't for the fact that they do talk about it, like they said it on commentary, I don't think people would remember that she is the number one contender, especially since the the press conference after this pay-per-view, Rhea said that she's going after the title again. Like, she's going after Liv's title again. So, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they really need to get away from this. I feel like it's ran its course. Like, what else can you do with it outside of just having her win the title? Like, if Rhea's just gonna win the title, she probably should have won it already, in all honesty. Just give it a break. But who knows where they're gonna go from this. I mean, there were some good spots here or there, but it's just none that were, like, big standouts. There was no, like, big moments. Like, it didn't really feel like a lot of people got their, like, big moment in this match. Again, it just felt like everything was being saved for when Rhea came out. That was it. So I don't know how I really feel about this one. It's not the worst match of the night, but it's definitely up there. It was just disappointing is all. Like, I have no idea where they're gonna go forth from this. Like, again, they already said like Io's the number one contender, but Rhea also said like, yeah, I'm gonna go after the title though. But there didn't seem to be any like friction between the two, even though there definitely should be. Like, I don't know. There was also no answer for like who took out Jade, so I don't know where that's gonna go. I think they're just leaving it up to Team Morgan did it. Well, I don't like how Nia looked in this match either. Like, she's supposed to be the women's champion on SmackDown, but she also just kind of looked like a sidekick to Liv in this match. I think they had a good opportunity to do something with the Money in the Bank cash-in. Like, it would have been fun to see Tiffany with Raquel being cuffed up to the rope, cash-in on Liv. It just felt like this match was a big waste of opportunity for these women involved, because like everyone involved with this is a good talent that should be used well, but it just felt like so many of them had to take a backseat in this feud between Liv and Rhea, and it just kind of it's hurting the entire division, in my opinion. The only thing that really feels like is saving the women's division right now is the introduction of 2 secondary titles, and really the only thing that's really the only reason why that's really keeping the division up is because it is granting more opportunities for some of these women that haven't been utilized to like a big standard. But other than that, let's move on to the United States Championship match, which might be the worst match of the night, but it wasn't a bad match, and that was Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. The only real thing to say about this match is that it was a surprise to see Nakamura winning this. I was hoping that he would win it, so it's glad to see a new title change here. I don't know where this is going to lead to. Honestly, I think it's going to lead to LA Knight just winning the title back. I think this is just like, a little feud to like test Knight's resolve or something like that. But I don't see Nakamura holding it for long, even if Knight isn't the one who wins it back. Maybe this is just them preparing LA Knight for a more main event focused feud or something like that. Who knows? Next up, we have the Intercontinental Triple Threat match. Now, I honestly thought this was going to be the match of the night for me, and I will say, this match did live up to my expectations, and I thought this was going to be my match of the night. It ended up not being my match of the night. So that should say plenty of the two other matches we'll be talking about, that this one I thought was going to be my match of the night, and it lived up to those expectations, but it wasn't even my match of the night. And that was Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus in a triple threat match for the IC title. This was fun. This was really fun. I was surprised that this even made the pay-per-view. I was hoping for like another women's match maybe, but instead, we got the IC three-way, and it was fun. It was great. Braun really showed up in this match. It was great. So did Ludwig. So did Sheamus. I think the MVP of this match, it would have to be Braun. Like the spears and the shoulder tackle that he gave during this match was incredible. There, like he literally gave a flying shoulder tackle like on the outside that just looked like it would almost looked as deadly as one of his spears. And then like the flying spear he did at the end with to Ludwig, it was just incredible. Like this match was just insane through and through. Just hard hitting action, just so fun. It's gonna be interesting to see where they go with this from here. I feel like Ludwig and Sheamus are gonna feud for a bit, more than likely. Maybe we'll run back the Sheamus Braun feud at WrestleMania, maybe, or just the lead up to it. Honestly, I would like to see Braun have a feud with somebody else for a bit, just see where that goes, and then run back the Sheamus feud. I don't know, maybe Bronson. Maybe Bronson? He might be injured, though. That's the problem. Bronson honestly might be injured. Dom would actually be pretty fun. I'd love to see him and Dom in a feud. But yeah, this match definitely lived up to my expectations, and I thought it was going to be my match of the night, but the next two matches were really good. So let's just go to the next match, which was Gunther versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. This match was just great. It was great. Damian Priest continues to show that he is probably one of the best wrestlers, or at least one of the most underrated wrestlers in the last few years, and he had a really good showing this pay-per-view. Now, I really like the storytelling going into this. I know some people had their complaints because Gunther looked pretty weak during the build-up, but I think it serves a purpose, so I was completely fine with that. Like, I don't think Gunther should look weak unless it serves a purpose, and I think it definitely did here with essentially, like, Gunther's world title reign has essentially focus of him trying to make up for the mistakes that he has made this like past year. Like starting off with him not really getting a clean pin on Randy, got his revenge at Bash in Berlin, and then him getting beaten by Sami Zayn, losing the IC title to him, then getting revenge for that, and now essentially trying to get his win back against Damian Priest because he didn't win clean. And this also comes after Gunther lost to Cody at Crown Jewel in a great match. So, I like this sort of storytelling of Damian being like, you didn't beat me clean. You have no right to say that you like legitimately beat me because Finn got involved. And also you just lost to Cody. And you almost lost the title to people like Randy and Sammy. So your self-confidence obviously isn't where it is, like where it usually is. So, and that's what's essentially going to allow me to beat you. And then he ended up winning the match, but it was because of Finn again at Survivor Series. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see where this builds up to. There was a backstage brawl after the pay-per-view between Priest and Judgment Day, so it seems like they're running back that feud, but more than likely Gunther is going to get involved with this feud. So if anything, I could see there could possibly be a little bit of a partnership between Gunther and Priest against Judgment Day, but ultimately I see this kind of resolving in a triple threat match between Damian, Finn, and Gunther, and then maybe after that, Priest and Balor will continue to feud. Actually, no, after that, it would make a lot more sense for Priest and Gunther to have a legitimate, like, one-on-one match, and then maybe Gunther beats him. I don't think Gunther's going to drop the title till like WrestleMania or maybe even after WrestleMania. So like they'll probably have a singles match, like they'll have a triple threat match first. I would love to see Finn back in the world title scene and then have a one-on-one match between Priest and Gunther. I do think like if they're going to have Finn enter the world title scene though, I think they need to have him drop the belts. They could have had him and JD drop them to the Viking Raiders, but for some reason they just didn't do that. So we'll just see how this goes. Or who knows? Maybe they'll drop them to a reunited New Day, maybe. I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen on the New Day celebration? More than likely they're gonna break up. I'm just hoping that Big E comes back and brings them all back together. That's what I'm hoping for. But we're probably not gonna get that. They had a great segment too on Raw when they were just arguing with each other, bringing up dirt, just like really going at each other's throats. That was amazing. It was like watching your it was like watching your parents fight. You're just like, "Mommy, Daddy, stop fighting." They were just going for each other's throats. It was great. And then we had the main event, the OG Bloodline and CM Punk versus the new Bloodline and Bronson Reed. This match was just incredible from start to finish. Fucking Jimmy Uso was pulling out moves out of fucking nowhere, like matches we have not seen. He was doing like a whisper in the wind. He did a splash from the top of the cage that apparently broke his foot. Bronson Reed also probably will be out for some period of time. Apparently he broke either one or both of his knees during the tsunami from the top of the cage, which I was sure. I was like, they're definitely going to do this, and whoever receives it is going to break in half. But nobody ended up taking it because CM Punk saved Roman Reigns during that spot. So Bronson Reed just went through the table. Apparently he is now injured. That was also a great part of it. It was the tension between Punk and Reigns. I have no idea where that's going to go. I think it's really just going to pay off for the Punk Rollins feud. When that happens, I think that's where we're going to get the favor. Like, I could see Punk and Rollins having a match and maybe Reigns or Jimmy Uso gets involved and it ends up costing him. Or maybe Paul Heyman. Like, Paul Heyman said, well, it's not that Roman owes him a favor. It's that Heyman does. So we may not ever see that debt get repaid until Roman and Punk feud, which would, I could definitely see them doing that. I could definitely see them going the long ways of being like, we are never going to answer what this like debt is until we get to a Roman Punk feud. So I don't know, but other than that, like, again, this match was amazing. I loved the ending of it where Solo basically got hit by all the finishers. I loved seeing the 1D get brought back for, a move. Jacob Fatu fucking went crazy. He was no-selling moves left, right, and center and looked like a beast. There was one time he was doing his little Phoenix splash. I think it's a Phoenix splash. He did that little like aerial move that he does in the corner where he'll like hop up there and do, I'm pretty sure it's a Phoenix splash. But he ended up kind of landing weird and kind of like hurt his leg a bit. But if you watched him, he was like selling the shit out of that. Like, he made it look like he like busted his leg open or something, but apparently he wasn't that injured. That was the scary part for me. I was like, oh god, I hope Jacob isn't injured. But apparently like it wasn't injured. He just kind of hurt it a bit, but he was selling it like he got fucking shot by a gun. But who knows? I mean, this match was just incredible. I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this. It was just amazing. I feel like it definitely could have used a bigger angle at the end of it. Like, there was like at the end of the match after the OG Bloodline won, they followed them with the camera for a long period of time, like all the way up to the entrance, and I was like for sure someone's coming out, but nobody came out. I was like, oh, The Rock's gonna come back. The Rock didn't come back. Nobody came out. It wasn't like, oh, Seth came out and attacked them. It wasn't like, oh, Punk turned on Reigns. No, nothing happened. They just posed. It was a little anticlimactic, but at the end of the day, this was still a pretty good pay-per-view. Probably, it's not the best one of this year, but it's definitely up there. I would say it's in the top 5. Like, I think in terms of like the best pay-per-views so far this year, WrestleMania is definitely up there, both nights, but I'm just going to count that as one. Then I would have to say, what's the other one? I would say Crown Jewel honestly would probably be in top 3. Bad Blood only really gets I would say Bad Blood is in like the top 5 because it only gets carried by the Drew Punk match. What else? I'm trying to think. Backlash was pretty fun. Backlash was really great, but that was mostly because of the crowd. I would say Backlash is definitely 3. So yeah, I would probably say like WrestleMania, Crown Jewel, Backlash. Actually, no, I would definitely say maybe this one is top 2. I would definitely say like WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Crown Jewel, Backlash, Bad Blood is like the top 5 so far this year. We still have one more to go. Saturday Night Main Event, which only has 2 announced matches, I believe. Let's double check. There's also NXT Bloodline, which I'm definitely gonna be checking out. There's like just 3 weeks straight of WWE pay-per-views. We had Survivor Series this weekend, and then next weekend we get Deadline, which I will be talking about. Looks to be a really good card so far. We got Wesley, J. Vaughn Evans, Nathan Frazier, and Ethan Page, with one participant to be decided for the Iron the men's Iron Survivor Challenge. And then for the women's, we have Sol Ruka, Stephanie, Saria, Julia, and one to be determined. For the NXT Championship, we have Trick Williams versus Rich Holland. I don't know how the Rich Holland match is going to go. I don't think it's bad, but we'll see where that goes. We have Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus opponents to be determined for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So they're having Frazier work double shift, maybe Axiom too. It depends if he wins his match this weekend, which is like a last chance fatal 4-way match. And then Saturday night main events, we got Cody versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship, and then we have the tournament finals for the Women's United States Championship. Maybe they'll also do the Women's Intercontinental Championship because they're also doing a tournament for that. I don't know. They also have some other people on the poster, so maybe that will lead up to something. I don't know. So far in the women's tournament, Bayley and Chelsea Green will have to face each other like in 2 weeks for the semifinals, and then Michin will have to face the winner between Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and Elektra Lopez. I can honestly see the finals being Bayley versus Michin. I think that would be great. Maybe her versus Naomi, but I think Michin should get to the finals, and I would love to see her be the first ever United States Championship. But I wouldn't be upset if Bayley ends up winning it. In terms of the Women's Intercontinental Championship, we do have a match for that on this coming Raw. Let me see if I can find it. It's supposed to be between Dakota Kai, Katana Chance, and Shayna Baszler. Most likely, Dakota Kai is going to win that. We don't know when the finals of that is going to be, so who knows? It will probably be on maybe it'll be on the first Raw of Netflix. That would be pretty cool. And also apparently Lyra Valkyria is going to be in a match, but it doesn't say who her opponents are, so who knows. But yeah, I mean, I really do like the idea of mid-card championships. I've heard some people say like, oh, the rosters aren't deep enough to hold them, and I do think there's some truth to that, definitely. But I still like the idea of giving the women more titles to go after, and hopefully allowing that to give women more opportunities in each division. I wouldn't have mind if they did the mid-card championship as a non-exclusive belt that could be shared on Raw and SmackDown, but if each brand gets one, then I'm completely fine with that. I'm a little worried to see where they could possibly go with the the Women's Tag Team Championships, because they haven't mentioned those being used, if they're not going to be used or not. Like, if they're going to get stripped of the titles, if Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are going to get stripped of those titles, since Cargill is seemingly out of action in storyline, I guess. I don't know. That whole thing is confusing. I've heard some people say, oh, it's a work. Some people said, like, oh, no, it's not. I don't know. But, who knows? Maybe they'll have them vacated. I could see them not doing that just because, like, they already have, like, 2 other tournaments going on at the same time. You don't want to do too much and like burn out your audience. And also, a lot of the division is like directly in that match. But when it comes to like each division, like I would love to see Lyra Valkyria win the IC title, more than likely. I don't know. I still just like the idea of these women giving more opportunities, and hopefully this like forces WWE to actually like utilize them, because sometimes it just feels like they just kind of forget. Also, especially with like Raw and SmackDown going to 3 hours in 2025, like, yeah, I think it would be great for them to have these titles and give women more screen time. So that's where we're gonna leave it all for Survivor Series. In terms of like the matches, like the match I like the least to the match I like the most, the order would probably go the U.S. title, match, and then the Women's WarGames match, the IC Triple Threat match, and I would say there's a very big distance. There's a pretty big gap between my level of enjoyment for the Women's WarGames match and the IC title match, and then the World Heavyweight Championship match, and then the Men's WarGames match. So that's probably what I'll rank it from worst to best in my opinion. I wish the Women's WarGame match was better. It just didn't, in my opinion, highlighted a big problem when it comes to the current booking of the women's division. But that's really all I had to say about the pay-per-view. So now let's move on to Ricky Starks and Rey Fenix, and I'm going to keep this section pretty short. AEW is essentially just, I don't want to say holding them hostage because that's very like loaded language, but kind of. That's kind of what's happening. So essentially, Ricky Starks tried to do some indie days, and AEW essentially, like, if you don't know what's been going on with Ricky Starks, he's not injured, but has been sitting at home since March because AEW just has nothing to do for him. Like, they got nothing apparently for him, despite the fact that they're currently like doing this big company-wide storyline of, hey, like the next generation of superstars are going to take the place that they should be in, that they should have been in like years ago. But we're not going to have Ricky Starks involved, even though he definitely fits into that criteria. But yeah, they just have had nothing for him creatively. And then last weekend, he decided to do a GCW show and had a bunch of dates lined up for that. But apparently, a clip from one of the company's owners, Effie, got around to Tony Khan, where Effie was essentially just making fun of him, like talking a little trash. And because of that, Tony Khan pulled Starks from his GCW dates, which in my opinion is a bitch move. Like, if you're gonna, not just in the sense of, oh, someone said something mean about you, so you're just not gonna let this guy work his dates, but also, like, if you're not gonna use this guy on your TV show, then why are you taking away dates from him that could give him that opportunity to show what he's got? Now, he does have other indie dates that he's going to work, but they're not like, GCW isn't like a high tier promotion. It's not like it's not even probably like top 5, honestly, but it's still pretty well known in the pro wrestling fandom. So when you take that away, it's probably like the biggest indie promotion right now. So when you take that away from someone who could definitely use that sort of exposure, since you're not even giving it to them, despite the fact that the fans want it, he wants it. Like, this isn't a case of Ricky Starks wanting to leave AEW for WWE. He wants to be utilized, but they're just not utilizing him. And I don't know if it's because, he's friends with people in WWE, like the top guy right now, Cody Rhodes. I mean, it would kind of fit with the other people who seem to be close with Cody, who aren't really getting utilized that much, like Dustin and QT Marshall. Despite the fact, QT Marshall got utilized with a Big Boom AJ at Full Gear, which was honestly which was definitely a fun match. In all honesty, you could give it 5 big booms. But like, I don't know, it seemed weird. He also talked about this all came out on Chris Van Vliet's podcast. Chris Van Vliet was a pretty well-known pro wrestling interviewer. Ricky Starks went on his podcast and basically said like, I don't know, I want to be utilized, they're not utilizing me, I've been sitting at home, I've been healthy, but they just don't utilize me. He also talked about the one time back in 2023 when he was caught on security camera at the Royal Rumble because he was supporting his friend Cody, and apparently there was someone in AEW who wasn't a big fan of that. He tried to do an impersonation of him. He tried to do an impersonation of the person without directly saying who it was, but some people, it's a little up in the air of who he was talking about. Some people think it was Jericho. Some people thought it was Dax Harwood, or how Twitter likes to, or like what Twitter likes to call him, FTR Bald, which is my favorite, which is probably the best nickname ever. But he talked about that. Maybe it had something to do with the trouble he's been facing. But I don't know. He also said that he went to WrestleMania 40, but so did a bunch of other AEW talent. They were like in a, like a suite area watching the event. So maybe that got him in trouble. They don't know. But even then, like, he wasn't being utilized before then, because like there was like an injury scare when it came to Ricky Starks in March, but WrestleMania was in April. So like, and he hasn't been used since then. So like, he wasn't getting used like since like before WrestleMania. So I don't know. Maybe this is like a silent punishment of it. I don't know. Apparently he had a meeting with Tony Khan at Full Gear. Like, people like, apparently he was seen backstage, but I'm not sure if that was just them saying like, hey, you can't do GCW, or if they might actually have plans for him. I'm not sure. I'm hoping for the best for him. I think he's a great talent. He also, when he was at GCW last weekend, he expressed some frustration he had with AEW, basically being like, I'm a generational talent, people love me, I'm one of the best guys they had on the roster, but now I'm not getting used. Like, it's just stupid not to utilize me. Like, I know my worth, I know how good I am. And like, he's right to think that. He's really good in the ring, he's really good on the mic, his character's great. Like, it's just he's someone who should be used all the time, and it's just a shame that he's not. So I don't know. There's also reports that they're not going to let him out of his contract. So I don't know. And speaking of not letting someone go of their contract, we also have Rey Fenix. Now, you may have heard of this ordeal before because this came up like months ago when it came to Lucha Bros. Pentagon Jr., his contract has basically run up. He is a free agent at this point. I believe he became a free agent as of today or yesterday. I forget which one. But he is now a free agent. His contract was running up, and it was a pretty open secret that he was planning on going to WWE and that he wanted to go to WWE with Rey Fenix, his brother, one half of the Lucha Bros tag team. And the problem with that is that AEW has this little system in place where if you were injured for a period of time while you were under contract, they will add they have the option to add your injury time, the time that you were out on injury, to your contract. Now, that could be helpful in some cases of, not being on TV, allowing you to get that time back that you weren't on TV and get paid a little extra. But the way that AEW is using it for it now is basically to keep them under contract while also not planning on using him at all. So essentially they're just like, no, you have to work for us, but we're also not going to have you work for us. And like, I don't understand this both in the Ricky Starks case and the Rey Fenix case, because like the only way that you could make sense of this is that Tony doesn't want to help WWE by giving him two talents such as Rey Fenix and Ricky Starks. But one could argue that that WWE doesn't really need them. Like, WWE is hot right now. It is like the hottest it's probably ever been in the last like 10 years. Like, it's been the number one wrestling promotion, but now it's like solidified as the fact, like from pure quality and just like, the money that they get running in, while AEW has been kind of struggling a bit. Like, there's definitely good programming, but I don't know. Like, they have a lot of problems they need to address, and it doesn't feel like they were anywhere close to being like the number 2 or like a top tier competitor with WWE since 2021. Like, 2021 was like a great year for AEW, and they've been trying to kind of chase that again, but have not really gotten anywhere close. And if anything, they're kind of getting further away, in my opinion. But if anything, it would probably help them more to like keep Rey and Ricky, but also use them. Like, the plan is just to not use them, apparently. Like, that's literally what has been said in some reports of Rey Fenix's case, of like, they're going to keep him under contract, but they also have no plans for him. So it's like, okay, so you're just wasting money at that point because you're giving it to someone who doesn't want to be there. Like, Rey Fenix doesn't want to be there. Like, apparently, like, there was news that he wasn't planning on re-signing with AEW anyway, so he was just going to leave. So this is really just Tony Khan just being like, no, screw you. You try to take your brother with you. I'm not going to let you. So essentially, I'm going to force him to stay under contract with me, even though I'm not going to use him for anything. It's just dumb. I don't know. But yeah, Penta is a free agent now. More than likely, he'll probably go to WWE. He'll probably, I don't know. I think they should use him in his singles role somewhat. And then, once Rey Fenix, his contract time is up, which will probably not be until I think the middle of 2025, then have him join them afterwards. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, this is just disappointing. Just really bad business decisions by Tony Khan here. Just absolutely disgusting. So yeah. Also, apparently Christian Cage tried to file for the trademark of Captain Charisma, and WWE is trying to fight him on that. That's also pretty scummy. I just want to add that in there. Just let him have the trademark. But that's all I gotta say about that. Whew. Thoughts killing me.